So I'm Robert Deckert. I am the light commercial senior trainer for GE. I've been with the company for 20 years. I've been on the light commercial line for about a year and a half now. Prior to that, I was also on the HVAC side, and I was the West Coast trainer for a long period of time. So starting out, we went to we're talking about our heritage. We've been making these zone lines since 1961. They've come a long, long way from then to now. Back in the day, you could watch the lights dim in the house when those things would come on and turn off. So the evolution's been going on for quite a while. We've also added a Hot Point line as well. So we have a GE branded line and we have a Hot Point branded line. We're going to start off talking about the Hot Point branded line. It has our PTAC lineup for this. Everything you need and nothing you don't. Hot Point, we went with R32, our eco-friendly refrigerant. Why? R32 is easier to recycle, and it is our preferred method for our units that have the Hot Point brand. And the other part of that is it's more, the GWP on R32 is a lot better, but it's not as good as our 454, which is all of our other equipment has gone to. So you'll see that as well. We also have this at an accessible price point. If it's a matter of you're fighting somebody against somebody else's brand that's really cheap, we have a brand that's better than theirs and can save you costs. So with this unit, you do get a 1-year warranty, full bumper to bumper on there. It is, sorry, something changed on my screen here. Hold on, there we go. Okay, 1-year bumper to bumper on there. If you're in an area that has service, great. GE service can come out and do repairs. It's called Bodewell now, because Bodewell services Monogram, Cafe, Profile, GE, Hire. So they changed the name on the truck so it would look like we're sending a GE guy to work on a Monogram or whatever brand, right? So by doing that, they just combined them. That 2 through the 5th years, we also will cover all the sealed system completely. So you get a 5-year on the sealed system, you get a 1-year on everything, and then 2 to 5 years after that, we also cover the parts, but not the home call or the labor charge. And we have the same warranty with our PTACs and our VTACs, guys. So it's one warranty, will cover everything. But if you're in an area with GE service, they will do it. If you're not, they will find somebody that can do authorized service if you need it. Or you can actually sign up and do it yourself too, as well, if you're a servicing dealer. We do have these models with electric heat. These are electric only, so these are cooling with electric heat, no heat pump, power cords come attached. There are 2 different sizes. We do not have 30 amp in the Hot Point. We only have the 15 and the 20 amp. Then we also have 6 models of heat pump with backup heat. These come with the power cord attached as well. If you look at some of our nomenclature up there, the AHH, the H stands for Hot Point, the first one. The second one's going to stand for heat pump. And that 4th letter is going to be the standard sleeve size. Knowing what voltage is important because the difference between the voltage on our products is the difference between a D and an E. The D is going to be your 230, 208, and your E's are going to be your 265 models. I don't think you have a lot of 265 in Canada, but just in case when you're ordering something, make sure you're ordering it for the right voltage. So with those, we actually put a separate power button on there now. A lot of people couldn't figure out from the mode button how to get the unit to turn off. So we added a power button back. We also added an auto dimming display. It will darken itself. Once you come back over and touch it, it'll light back up, but it's auto dimming display on it. It also has auto power recovery, which is the power goes out, it's going to remember it was in cooling and set to whatever temperature. So it's going to come back on in that same mode. This unit does have a single fan motor for the indoor and the outdoor fans. It does have 2 fan speeds that you can set on the front and a constant fan on button. It has a high and low fan and a constant on. On the outdoor fan, there is that ring around the outside, and that is a slinger ring for condensate removal. That one, when it goes into a air conditioning mode, the water from the condensation will run out to that fan. That edge of the fan blade will pick it up and it'll actually spit it onto the outdoor coil, and that helps cool the coil and improves the efficiency. Along with that, we do have temperature limiting settings that you can go in and change. They can set it so that the consumer can't get above or below a certain temperature on that unit. We also have auto freeze and frost protection on these. The auto freeze will come on in a heating mode once it drops below 40 degrees outside. It'll automatically come on in heating mode just as a backup to keep them from freezing pipes in the building. That can be shuttled on or off depending on what you want it to do. If you go with a heat pump and you change the thermostat more than 3.5 degrees, you're probably going to initiate the automatic emergency heat. If it sees a large change in the temperature, it's going to automatically switch over to the electric heat. We also have overheat protection, so if it gets too hot in there, it's going to determine that that unit's stuck in the on position or something else, and it's going to shut the unit down. Along with that, we have matching accessories that go with it. The Hotpoint brand's a lot a whiter color, similar to our ductless. It is a white matte finish, and the outdoor sleeves have been color matched to them as well. We have a fresh air vent kit, and that is all it is. It is a fresh air vent kit. It allows you to pull air from outside by the grill instead of right by the fan. It is not a makeup air unit. It is just a way of pulling in some fresh air from outside if you want to. The other one we have is bases. The sub bases we have. You can see there's a couple different ones there. That 15-20 amp receptacle can come in that, and there's a RAK 240U. We recommend those for the 265 volt if they're going to be hardwired in. The disconnect switch as well. Now those bases, one reason to have those bases is if the wall is really thin. If it's an aluminum frame wall with just, insulated glass and there's not a whole lot of support for the unit, you can actually have it stick into the building, put the sub base underneath of it, and it has adjustable feet and legs. So it'll actually hold the unit up in place. So once it's mounted into the wall, it won't be pulling on the wall or causing a bend or a tear or anything like that. Then the Hotpoint wall thermostat that's there in that kit, you see the difference between the D and the E in the kit? That is the difference between the voltage. And if you get the wrong thermostat kit, it will not work on the other unit. So you got to make sure your D's and E's are correct. So thermostat kit, one of the things we made it easier to buy and cheaper was that took the thermostat 24 volt transformer off of it. But if they want a wall thermostat, they can add it back on. This is the kit. Take off 2 screws, plug in 2 sets of wires, mount this little box onto the inside, and once it's installed, there is a removable plug for the thermostat wires because we want to make it easy to switch it out, easy to remove if it needs to be. So you can actually unplug the thermostat wires real quickly, unplug the unit, and then put in another unit. We try to make them so they're swappable as fast as possible. Questions on that or any? Before we go on to 265? We're good? I see something's in the chat, but I don't know what it is.
Yeah, no, we're good to move forward. There's nothing in the chat, no one's hands up. But one thing that I actually had a thought was you have some with a power cord and some without. If they have a power cord, is that power cord removable and are they able to be hardwired, or can that one only be plugged in?
That one is made to plug in only at this point. Now the 265 models we're seeing on here, they come with no power cord attached. We are working towards making it available to do either or at this point. Have it on a terminal block or a different way of attaching it, because, and I'll show you why in just a second. but we have these 265 models. These are heat pump with backup electric heat. In the nomenclature, you do see the E right after the nominal BTU size. With that, there is code written in the U.S. I don't know if it's a code in Canada, but the National Electric Code in the U.S. says anything over 250 volts has to be hardwired, not plugged in. They don't want someone unplugging a 265 plug because they can reach around and touch those pins while they're unplugging it, where they could get shocked. So they have a terminal block on the unit, and that terminal block can be hardwired to whatever. We have seen people cut cords off and wire them straight back onto those, but is not what we're putting out there. So if they have an existing sub base, you can always use that, because the sub base makes the connection point down there a inaccessible point. When the little cover doors are on, nobody can get there and unplug it without taking off a cover. So it makes it code compliant when it's in the sub base. But if not, you might have to do something similar to wall blanks and power cords and stuff like that, where you have a whip going to it, basically. So any questions on hot point? No. All right. We're going to step on to our GE Zone Line PTACs. So with Zone Line, we started out with the same warranty, 1 year and everything. Yep.
Robert, Jason Wagner has a question.
Okay.
I'll see if I can unmute him.
You can hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Just a question on how noisy these hot points are. Or how quiet
remember,
they are.
it is a single motor on these. So, and they're all single speed stuff. So it's not going to be our preferred sound quality, honestly. They are lower cost. They are going to be a little bit noisier. I don't know what their noise level is, honestly. But yes, they're not as quiet as our Zone Lines.
Okay, thank you.
But a lot of the people that are worried more about cost aren't as worried about sound either. So
yeah,
most of the time.
Are the sound ratings published on these anywhere?
I think they are. I'd have to look them up, but I can't remember.
In
If
submittals,
not, I will
maybe?
find out what they are. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. So Zone Line warranty, same like we talked about, 1 year and everything, 5 years on the sealed system, and 2 to 5 years on parts again. These are designed in Louisville, Kentucky, and built in Selmer, Tennessee. With these units, we went with R454B because it's 78% lower than R410A, and we're hoping that in 2029, when they're going to do another refrigerant change, that we're low enough to not have to change right away. Changing refrigerant costs businesses a lot of money. Everybody gets hit at the same time. Don't like going through them, but hopefully being 78% lower with 454, we will be able to. One thing to remember about 454B, it is a blend, and blends tend to leak in different rates from the blends. So you end up with one part of the blend leaking out faster than the other. And by just dumping refrigerant back in, you're not always having a good mix and a good glide. So a lot of times they may actually tell you to pull the whole charge out, weigh it, and then put a whole new charge back in. With these, we also have traditional fixed speeds, and we have a perfect control inverter. This is, I think, where we're going to shine. You're going to go see the inverter models in a little bit. Our nomenclature is very similar to what we had on the hot point. You notice in the middle there where it says AZV, that V stands for variable speed. If it's got a V and then it has a 15, that 15 is designated as once it's got a V in front of it, it is a 4,000 to 15,000 BTU unit. So we're going to talk about those as we go along too. With the zone lines, we have the fixed speed zone lines. This is the cooling models with the E in the nomenclature. That is our electric only heat. So those have no heat pump operation. They have none of the other bells and whistles that you might see on some of the other ones. We also have the fixed speed lineup. We have 7, 9, 12s, and 15s in there, and the 208, 230 models. And these heat pump all the way down to 25. Most of our competitors can only get down to about 32 with heat pump operation, but we're down to 25. I didn't mention on the hot point, it will do heat pumps on hot point will do 32 as well. Not Canadian, just that's Fahrenheit. Heat pump operation again, 265 models. They heat pump there all the way down to 25F as well. So we think of single speed compressors. I think of them like running a sprint, a quick short sprint, and they're going to turn on and run down that field and turn right back off, right? So with these units, what you have to worry about a lot is sizing them properly. We'll get into that. The new appearance on these, we have an LED wall thermostat indicator. We have a coverless control panel now. We got rid of the little door that opens and closes and breaks off most of the time, is broken, cracked, or hanging by a thread. We got rid of those. And then we also made our units easy to clean. That part you see in the back covering the fan shroud is actually a removable top that a lot of our competitors don't have. Because the air from our fan blows in from the back, so all the air and dirt gets trapped inside that shroud. So you can actually take that top off and hose the unit out, making it easier to clean. We also have onboard diagnostics as well. And we actually use a larger fan than our competitors. We have a 33% larger indoor fan, which is quieter and helps a lot with the sound quality. The 2 ECM fan motors that we have, they ramp up slow and slow down. They're not a constant like bang on, bang off. The compressor will be on these units because they're single speed, but our fan motors actually ramp up and down, which are a lot quieter as well. They increase our efficiency. They reduce speed. They also have a longer lifespan and lower noise, but they're also compact, so we can get them in places where you can't get other fan motors as well. We use rubber grommets on all of our fan motors to eliminate a lot of the vibrations and noise. And we also have a one-piece SMC bulkhead. That is more like a fiberglass bulkhead instead of a galvanized metal or steel bulkhead. And that eliminates a lot of the panel vibrations because it's one piece. There's no joints, rivets that'll come loose as well. Then we have a baked-on mastic that is on the back of this sound barrier. And that is like what you would find in luxury cars. It's inside doors and inside under your floor carpets and everything else, and that's what keeps the sound out of your car. We bake it on, and it costs more to do that than regular fiberglass insulation, but we have the best sound quality in the business. We do a lot with sound. We actually have what we call sound juries. We go to hotels locally here in Louisville, and we have our units spaced out through the hotels in different places and have people go and sit in the rooms, and they run them at different speeds, different levels of the compressor, the fans, everything. And if we hear any noise or sounds that are objectionable, they skip those speeds in the fans or the compressors so that we don't hear those noises in the future. With that, we have a universal heater. The one heater goes across all of our products on the GE brand. So we have one heater that'll fit everything, so less inventory to worry about. But the great thing is our heater actually has 3 different heaters built into it. It's actually 3 different coils of heating. With that, because of that, we can actually do what we do with our power cords, which is one power cord covers 3 different amperages. What I mean is you can one unit covers 3 different amperages. So you have one zone line PTAC, but depending on which power cord, it can be a 15, 20, or 30 amp. And what it does, it'll actually pick two of the 3 heaters or switch, depending on what was plugged in, to 2 different ones. also with that, we can do what nobody else can do. It's called heat pump boost heat. So we take the heat pump when we're running it, and we can actually turn on a 1K heater along with the heat pump, and that allows us to put out a warmer air when we're in heat pump mode. If somebody doesn't like that cool air coming out, they could put that boost on. Yes, it's going to cost them a little more, but it's not going to cost them as much as running the emergency heat or the electric heat only. So having that boost on is great. You know, the air coming out, most heat pumps 80, 90 degrees tops, and your skin temperature is at 98. So it feels like it's cool air coming out. So with that heat pump boost on, you can get that temperature up where it feels like warm air coming out instead of just, 80, 90 degrees when you have your thermostat set at 70. It's still warmer than your set temperature, but it's not warm enough as a gas furnace would be, like 120, 130 degrees coming out of the vents. So a lot of people were disappointed in heat pumps because of that cold air feeling. But now with energy savings, they're going crazy. We also have corrosion protection on all of our stuff, where the Hot Point model doesn't have as much. It has galvanized metal, painted pan, and galvanized end caps. We have stainless steel end caps on our GE brands, and the drain pan and the bulkhead, base pan and bulkhead are also that SMC molded composite. So that is where it can't rust. It's like fiberglass. So you can also get a rust-proof sleeve if you need them. We still don't recommend these things being anywhere near water, especially if you have makeup air, rust, ocean air. They are corrosion resistant, but if there's makeup air involved, it'll bring that actual salt air to the indoor coil and cause a lot of issues or problems in the building as well. The poly gray sleeve is rust proof. And then we're just going to start talking about our variable speed lineup. So you notice on our variable speed, we have 3 models. On the 23208, we have special features of corrosion, makeup air, and then makeup air and IEQ, sometimes called IAQ, indoor air quality, indoor environmental quality. With these units, we can heat pump all the way down to 0F right now. With our 265 models, same thing. You only see 3 models: corrosion, ICR, and makeup air. ICR stands for internal condensate removal. You tend to use these on big high-rise buildings because they are responsible for the water that drips off in the wintertime and ices their sidewalks. So they like to have these units where they don't get as much water output out of the building in the winter in the heat pump mode. With that heat pump on the 265, it'll also go down to 0F Fahrenheit. Inverter driven, I like to think of them like running a marathon. You really want them to run all day long. And people are like, what? It's going to cost more money. No, it's not. The inverter draws very little amperage when it's running. The fans are running on low. What we're doing is actually dehumidifying. So by running all day long, once you get to temperature, you're running in dehum mode once you get that room to temperature. So we'll talk about that as well. Common problem you have when you're designing hotels and trying to price out for these places is trying to find a unit that actually fits the room. And so you might have 5,000, 8,000, or 10,000 BTUs on these units. And then if you end up with the load calculation, and the nearest size unit you can find for 5,500 BTUs is a 7,000, so now we're slightly oversized. So what happens when you're slightly oversized? Short cycling most of the time, right? Where it runs for a short period of time and then shuts off for a long period of time. You get wild temperature swings up and down. Not what you really want to do. The other part of that is you could be an 8,000 BTU and you could have a 7 or a 9,000 BTU unit, and that is going to do the same kind of thing. One's going to be oversized, one's going to be undersized. So if it's undersized, it's going to be running constantly on high speed trying to keep up. Or if it's oversized, again, you're going to get that short cycling. Same thing with a 10,000 BTU room. We don't have anything that's exactly that size. But with our perfect control technology, we start out at 4,000 to 15,000 BTUs, and it's going to start in one mode in 15,000 BTU mode. It's going to come right out of the box and start at 15 because it doesn't know what size room it's in. Once it runs for a day, it'll be a lot quieter. It will be noisy coming out of the box. We've had people call up and say, man, this thing's loud. We said, just wait a day. It's trying to figure out what size room you're in. Once it figures out what size room you're in, it just sits there and hums along. It's super quiet once it gets to the room to the right temperature. So having that matched exactly to the BTU sizes is a big help. We do have inverter-driven twin rotor compressors. We went with the twin rotors because they're quieter, more balanced, less vibration, less shaking. Like I said, we've done a lot of things just to make these things as quiet as they can be. We are actually leading the industry with the quietest PTAC as well. The inverter also allows us to run that speed up and down to whatever we want, right? So we can run that compressor at any speed. And like I said, if there's a noise at a certain speed in the compressor, our program guys will just tell them to skip that speed. We also have twin expansion valves on these. A lot of you guys might know TXVs. Well, the expansion valves, electronic expansion valves, will actually help us dial in, fine-tune refrigerant flow, maximizing our temperature and also allowing us to do a targeted humidity control. So what is an inverter technology? Well, we take single-phase AC and we run it through a diode bridge. And that diode bridge then turns it into a DC power source for us. We take the DC power source and we run it through capacitors. The capacitors help smooth out that waveform, make it a nice, clean power source. And then we take it and run it through insulated gate bipolar transistors. These are basically small little relays, electronic relays, and they can open and shut 16,000 times a second. So with that, we take that DC voltage and actually simulate an AC three-phase power. So that compressor is actually a three-phase compressor in a single-phase unit. So the inverter actually turns it into a simulated three-phase power source. And with that, we can actually run that unit up and down at any speed we wanted to. We send a pulse width modulation to the IGBTs, and that is how it adjusts the speed. So depending on how fast the pulse goes to these, determines how fast the unit will run. Along with that, guys, it's not required, but recommended protecting that equipment. Inverters do not like a lot of power surges. They do not like brownouts either. Any of your stuff you're installing nowadays, if it's inverter driven, I'm always looking for people to do voltage monitoring, surge suppression, because they don't like a lot of power drops. Three-phase, a lot of times, places near our lovely data centers they're building all over the US right now, you can see a lot of brownouts going on where some people will lose, like, if they got 100 rooms, they might lose like 20 or 30 units at one time because they've had a brownout and lost one leg of their building, and it burns out half of their equipment. So making sure you've got protection, something that'll shut it off. We've been improving our boards as well, trying to make them more robust. But protecting our equipment, I mean, you're investing in the inverter technology and you need to invest in protecting it as well. So we talked a little bit about dehumidification. We have a thermostat that we call, that black one you see on there, it is RAK 190V thermostat. It's two-way communicating. With that thermostat, it can actually tell the humidity from one side of the room to the other and on our unit. And we can actually tell it to run dehumidification mode through our settings on our unit. So if it's hot and steamy by the bathroom shower where the thermostat is, or we've got heavy moisture outside that's coming in, it'll pick that humidity up and start running in dehumidification mode. So once the room's to temperature, we start targeting dehumidification. So with that, we can actually drop the temperature, bring it across the coil, get as much moisture out of the air as possible, And then if we have to, we can turn our split heater back on and actually keep the room temperature within 1 or 2 degrees of where it started. Other people that run that, they end up running the room cold temperature down, trying to get rid of the moisture. But with these, once we get the moisture out of the room, it's a lot easier to bring the temperature down. Our units will actually do 5 pints of moisture per hour with the RAK 190V on one side of the room and our unit on the other. So that's a lot of moisture. If you look at some of the other people out there, they get maybe 2 to 3 pints, maybe. So getting it all the way up to 5 points with the inverter driven is definitely a big plus. Then we're talking about makeup air as a feature. Makeup air is that wind that blows you back out the door when you try to walk into the store. That's what makeup air is. You're bringing outside air in and conditioning it across the coil of a air conditioner and then using it to pressurize the building. A lot of these buildings have windows that won't open or close, won't open. So you got to bring fresh air in from outside. This is a way of doing it. So we have these makeup air units. You would have to order that unit as a makeup air. It's not an add-on piece. So they have these fans that are built into them. They suck in air from outside. With our zone lines, we can do up to 50 CFM, and they are adjustable in 5-degree increments. But they also can have a filter in them as well. There's a little door there right behind that red and black wire you can see, where you can put that MERV 13 filter in there and still keep the air fresh and clean coming in from outside. Then we were talking about the internal condensate removal. That unit is available in the 208, 230, and 265 inverter models as well. What it does is actually take your heat pump defrost water, which runs to a different part of the tray, and it actually picks it up and brings it back inside and actually dribbles it onto the coil and lets it evaporate inside the building in the wintertime. Helps bring up the humidity level because we're usually in the wintertime we're as dry as can be, and that's when a lot of people get sick because certain bacteria can thrive in that low humidity area. So 40 to 60 is what you want to have all the time as far as relative humidity. And so bringing moisture back in doesn't hurt in the wintertime, like when you're trying to do air conditioning in the summer. So we also have this special order one that has environmental air quality or IEQ or IAQ. And we actually have a UVC light aimed at our fan, and that helps kill 93.9% of bacteria in 2 hours of runtime. So 2 hours of runtime in a room, it'll clear that room out 93.9% of all the bacteria that are in the air. With the Perfect Control, we also upgraded our controls and our diagnostics as well. Added a lot of features to them. We also have a Wi-Fi and Bluetooth enabled part for our Smart HQ management system. These come on all of our inverter driven product, but not on our single speeds at this point. Next year, they'll probably have it on everything. So it has Bluetooth and Wi-Fi built in. This is a service that is a pay service. So if it's a hotel or whatever, they can actually subscribe to this and be able to control and monitor all their rooms from one place. With the RAK 190B thermostat, you can see all the different pieces of that. It does have occupancy sensing built into that thermostat as well. If you're actually installing an inverter-driven product without a two-way communicating thermostat, I think you're wasting a lot of valuable resource. It will work on other thermostats, but with the two-way communicating, the humidity and occupancy sensing, especially if it's a makeup air unit, is so much more beneficial for energy savings. So just keep that in mind. It's going to cost them a little more on that thermostat. We are currently revamping a whole line of thermostats. So you're going to see soon an RAK 191V, and that's going to be cheaper as well. So having that upgrade, we're coming out with a whole bunch of them coming out soon. So be ready for a whole bunch of new thermostats. We also have the 24-volt 8-wire thermostat that is that RAK 150 VF2. That's not programmable, but you can do the zone line inverter compatible. It does have heat pump capability. When you're talking about thermostats, yes, you can use other people's thermostats, but make sure it's compatible with GE's. I just went to Wisconsin and they have TelcoNet thermostats throughout the whole hotel. And they took them out of the box, put them on the wall, wired them up the way it said to wire them, and didn't change the programming on the thermostats. So all of them were running as a fan coil, single heat, single cooling. So all winter long, I think they were on electric heat all winter, and not using any of the heat pump functionality. They've been in operation for 2 years, and I go up there, and that's the first thing I find is that none of their thermostats are changed over to the proper setting for our unit. And there was actually a PDF that came with the units that actually said you have to do the commissioning and do this and change it to 80 and then start it, and then it would be correct for what the GE brand was. We also have a vendor thermostat list. So this is a Vertiv thermostat, VX4, which is PMS capable and BACnet capable if you're looking for something like that or have that big need. We have a wireless or a wired version of this. The wireless one has a little module that plugs straight into our thermostat jack on our unit, and the little box can just sit in there. And then the wireless thermostat can either be battery 12 volt or 24 volt power supply. So there is options out there right now as well. All right. Clicker, quit clicking. Hold on. Sorry. There. New color matched wall sleeves. We did change our color just slightly to a little bit lighter gray. So if you see MG, that's our color. It's metal, a metal shield and cover. The MG STC, that's our sound transmission class, has a different insulation on the sleeve. So if you're near an airport or a highway, adding these sleeves will actually help take out a lot of that outside noise from the situation if you need them. If they're doing something near a road or an airport, definitely look at the sound transmission class wall sleeves for that application. We've actually had some people who installed our units prior to and actually have gone back and removed sleeves and changed over prior to this sleeve coming out. They went back and invested in the sound quality of it. They liked it so much. We also have the poly gray, so that is a plastic and gray. That is our corrosion resistance. But our wall sleeves come in a knockdown form. If you look at them, you can see on the bottom edges, they click together. You can't put them together wrong. There's a bottom, a top, and two sides, and you can't put the left on the right or the right on the left, so you can just click them together. We used to send it as a welded piece, and it was a big box of air. Took up a lot of room on trucks and elevators. With this knockdown version, it takes like 30 seconds to click them together. It's not hard. We also have them in deeper wall finishes, like if somewhere up in Canada you might have extra thick walls. We do have deeper wall finishes as well, up to 24 inches, and they are the quick assembly as well. The Rad 10 drain kit, recommend selling it with every product, because if they're doing a building with multiple stacked up, like straight up the building, if one's dripping outside, it's going to drip on the one below it. The Rad 10 kit can actually use those little pipes and actually redirect some of the water either further out or to the side so that you're not dripping from one to the other. We do have corded harnesses and direct wire harnesses. So if you use a sub base, you may use the direct wire. We also have little junction boxes if they need them. If they don't want to have a power cord in the room, they want to hardwire it, we can have it where we can make an access point where they can hardwire it too. The architectural grills come in aluminum. You can get plastic in beige and dark brown. And then if need be, they want a specific color to match the outside of the building. All they have to do is look at a Pantone color chart, pick a color, and they can order these. They are a long lead time, like 6-8 weeks, but they can match whatever color you want. Sub bases we talked about a little bit earlier. Any questions on PTACs? Gotta be.
I don't see anything in the chat or any hands raised.
All right.
Means you must be covering it well.
Oh man, I gotta have to slack off. I like when people ask questions. All right, keep going. So now we're going to talk about VTACs. What is the VTAC? Well, VTAC stands for vertical terminal air conditioner. What's a PTAC? Package terminal air conditioner. The VTACs and the PTACs are actually classified differently. So if you're looking for COP on one of them and you can't find it on the other one, they decided that one of them's a split system and one of them's a package system. So if you're trying to do any of that stuff for the engineer that's designing the building, you may see that there's no COP on one, but it's on the other one. So just be aware that they are classified differently. These are designed here in Louisville and built in Selma, Tennessee. We do have what we call our small chassis, and you'll notice that in the new nomenclature is an S. And then we have a large chassis, which will be our makeup air units as well. And then we now have a 2-ton unit, which can replace some Magic Chef now, or not Magic Chef, what is it? Magic Pack, sorry. Magic Chef was one of my favorite hamburger places, sorry. Then the large chassis as well in the 24 with the makeup air. So we make these things easy to install, easy to connect, easy to diagnose, easy to clean and maintain. Again, we have that removable cover so you can get to the coil. You notice there's quick connect plugs, that whole platform system you can see there, and the plenum on the left side. We're going to look at that platform. This is our platform, and you're going to see that this is our drain platform. It should be sold with every one of our units if they don't have one already, because this is what holds us to the wall, mounts us to the wall, keeps us tight, and is our drain pan for the unit. Our unit doesn't have a built-in drain pan to it. It drains into this. So I'm going to show you this video real quick. It's going to show you how quick it is to install this. We actually save installation time 60%. We did side-by-side test of competitors' brand and our brand. Guys installing them, and we save 60% of the time installing ours over theirs.
There isn't a standard or recommended means of support for most vertical air conditioners. It's up to the contractor or installer to concept and build a support system. The two most common methods are building a wooden platform on site or using cinder blocks and shimming as necessary to achieve the correct height. In either case, these methods do not provide the proper support, stability, alignment, and means of drainage required for efficient, reliable operation. The ZoneLine Ultimate V10 and ZoneLine Ultimate V12 both use our revolutionary quick install system. This system saves up to 60% on installation time and makes maintenance and service simple. The quick install system install starts with a quick install wall plenum. Its expandable design works with wall thicknesses from 8 to 15 inches thick. The plenum also has a means of integration and support for our Insta platform. Locking pins and alignment tabs ensure the platform, once installed, is at the perfect height and secured to the plenum. Our outdoor grill can be attached to the plenum, and the entire assembly can be installed by one person from the inside of the building, versus one person on the inside and one person on the outside, making this installation safer and faster. The Insta platform serves 4 purposes: a means of support, secure and proper alignment, quick and easy access for initial plumbing, and a self-contained drainage system. The self-aligning lock-and-place system and low-friction dimpled surface allow the chassis to easily slide into and lock perfectly in place. The integrated primary and secondary drain ports manage excess condensate water. This isolates drainage from the chassis, making plumbing connections easier and faster too. Locking pins and alignment tabs align and integrate the platform with the plenum. These pockets are used for 2x4s for front support. Condensate drainage can be directed to the left, right, or front. Insert 2 2x4s into the support pockets and the platform is ready for installation. Now place the chassis on the platform, and as you push it into place, the self-aligning ridges and lock-in-place recess ensure a perfect seal with a plenum gasket. It
just doesn't get any easier than that, does it? So I don't know if you noticed that when it drops in on that tray, it actually clicks in there. It's really, I mean, you can tell when it's locked in. I did the site visit where I was in Wisconsin. I'd go in and see daylight around our units, and they're complaining about noise issues. Well, if I can see daylight, I'm going to hear the road noise from outside. And so locking that in definitely is what installation issues that we see. A lot of people not locking them in, or drain lines that are too close to our units that are vibrating against them. We've seen that. But the one in Wisconsin I just looked at, they actually pulled away from the drywall and the exterior wall because the screws they used to attach it were very short drywall screws, and they actually had moved. So make sure that that anchor bolt's substantial enough, something with a washer, hopefully, that you can mount it to the wall. But it is one of the things that I look for all the time when I go out there is I shut the curtain to the room, turn the lights off, and just start looking for daylight. And we found daylight in a lot of places in the one in Wisconsin where we went. So we do have same thing on this units. We have the rubber grommets for their outdoor fans and our indoor fans as well. We have the one-piece bulkhead that eliminates the vibration panel noise. We also have same 2 ECM fan motors, and they are electronically commutated motors as well. The heater for this one is different, but it is still universal to all of our products. So there's one heater that fits on everything. And it is also a split system, so we can do boost on this unit as well. And we can also do a little electric reheat during humidification, dehumidification. Same twin rotors, same protection. With these units, you only get direct power cord connections. You don't have a power cord that comes off of these units. Not recommended, not supposed to be used. Because they're in a closet, they don't want a power cord in there. But the larger units, if you run them on a 15 amp unit, you're going to see that it will derate itself over time. Like if it's trying to run the electric heat and the heat pump, it's not going to run the heat pump all the way up to high speed because it is just at that edge point of being able to have a full 15 amp circuit run both at the same time. The power cords you see right there, they all have the exact same jumpers on them. The 15 actually doesn't have any. The 20 only has 2 wires, and the 30 has 4 wires. You can tell them apart just by looking at them. When you plug in the connector, that little connector gets plugged into our unit, and it tells the unit what it's connected to, and it tells it which heaters it can use by the jumpers that it's connected to it. With our 24 and our PTACs or our VTACs, we can actually do 6.5 pints of moisture per hour out of the air on our 2-ton unit. The 2 tons do come with the makeup air. We talked about what makeup air is. One thing a lot of people don't know that we have are transitions. Transitions are somebody else's brands in there now. They don't want to have to do the outside of the building, so they go to try to get a bid from that company so that they can just replace the unit with the same, so they don't have to do all the outside work. Well, we make what we call transitions to go from their product to our product. This one is RavTrans 1CO. 1CO actually stands for First Company. They make a tall, skinny unit, and it's in a closet similar to ours that a lot of times we can replace theirs. The big problem you run into is it big enough? The closet has to be those dimensions that you see on the right side of that little instruction sheet. 31 inches for a makeup air unit and 27 inches for a non-makeup air unit. So if you need to transition, we have transitions that'll go from Amana's and our old stuff to our new stuff. And there's some Magic Pack coming, and there's going to be some Friedrich as well. So if somebody else's brand out there, you can always see if we have a transition to go from their stars. Most of your PTACs are all standard size 16 by 42. There are some 30s out there, some 33s or something weird, but most everything out there in PTAC world is going to be 16 by 42. All right, so that is what a First Company transition looks like on the right side. All the black pieces, that's what you would get in a First Company transition. So basically, it attaches to their unit. There's instructions on how to do it. There's videos on how to do it. And we're going to see where to find those videos in a second. So we have all these different accessories, and you notice like that grill, that's the aluminum grill for the exterior, and it can be installed as well. And that little part at the bottom, there's two little pieces that goes right around where the external drain would be. So that secondary drain, if water starts pouring down the outside of the building, that's telling them that their main drain line's clogged up. So
Hey,
that's an indication
Robert?
to go fix it. Yep.
We've got a question here from Dustin Parker with us. He said,
man.
what is the main difference between PTAC and VTAC? Which models do you suggest can replace Magic Packs? More info on this would be great. Regarding PTAC's internal condensation system, what happens to the liquid condensate? Where does it go? Is there still condensate being drained? There's a lot there. I'll let you go with that, and then I think you've answered a lot of this.
Okay.
But I'll unmute Dustin if he wants us to as well.
That's awesome. All right. Let's see. What is the main difference between a PTAC and a VTAC? The main difference, the PTACs are going to be in the room. Controls are in the room with it. The VTACs are usually going to be in a closet. And typically in the kind of hotels where they might have a bedroom and a living room that are separated by a wall. So they'll put them in the closet adjoining wall of those two, and then run ductwork above the unit into one room and one into the other room. So typically on the VTACs, you're going to have like two vents coming off the top of it, one going left or right. But with the PTACs, you're going to have it just going through like right below a window in a hotel room. And then which models can you suggest for replace the Magic Pack? Well, our Magic Pack has a 2-ton and a 3-ton. We are working on a 3-ton right now. We got a 2-ton already, and our 2-ton is exactly the same size as our 1-ton model. So if you had to upgrade somebody to a larger unit, no problem with us because you could swap them out. But with the Magic Pack, I'll show you something in a minute. And then regarding what does it say, PTACs, internal condensate system, what happens to the liquid condensate? The liquid condensate runs outside during the summer, and it's going to be picked up by that fan and spit onto the coil. Any excess overflow is going to drain out the back of that PTAC unit out the back. Where does it go? If it overflows, and it could, because rainwater can blow into them, on sides of the buildings, they can overflow the pan. But that's where that RAD 10 kit will come in. In the wintertime, once it gets below a certain temperature, there's actually a valve that opens up and lets the water drain out so that it doesn't freeze around that fan and cause it to crack. But that's part of what that unit is. There's still condensate being drained. Yeah, it will drain. It will overflow. If it's too much for the slinger, it'll start overflowing. Okay. Then we do have YouTube playlist. We've got a whole bunch of stuff that my predecessor did, and we're updating those as we go. We also have this quote to job checklist, and I'm working on an updated one for that for the 24s. I can send those to Christian, and then he can send them out to anybody that needs them. And there's some other stuff I'd like to show you as well. Any other questions regarding that?
I'll just tag on to that. We are going to have in case you missed it, email come out with a recording of this. So if you can send me those, I'll attach those to that email.
No problem. All right. So I showed this to Christian earlier, but here, the air and water website, geappliancesairandwater.com. If you go onto that website and you click on air products, here's our light commercial. You can click down here and you can see all our PTACs that we offer, right? But go back to that. If you click right here, I'm kind of hidden some stuff in here. There's a little landing page, talks about our zone lines, PTACs, VTACs, if they want to connect with the sales guys, what they need. But there's also these commercial AC tools and resources. I'm adding more stuff here right now. Been talking to the people that put this on, and I'll show you some of the other stuff I have online here. But if you need any of this, we actually have CAD drawings. If the architects are designing it, we have CAD drawings. We also have these books called, they call them A&E Architects and Engineers Manuals. So if they need like specific like motor numbers and stuff like that, we have a lot of that stuff in there, like amp draws of small motors, because some of them get down into that point of it, total energy consumption. But that's right here on that air and water site. The other one you want to know is ordergeapplianceparts.com. ordergeapplianceparts.com, and that will get you, if you need to look up parts or you got issues or problems, there's all the parts illustrating catalogs and like the sealed system, anything you need's there. You can click on these little things and it'll take you to the part number, or you can click on the part number and it'll show you the part. And yeah, sorry, didn't know you were coming in today. And then we got there, and then the other one I want to show you is,
And a note on these websites, I made a quick link PDF for these websites, and I'll share those with this email with the recording as well.
so in here, I'm going to get this put onto the website as well. It's kind of helps you like pick out one, like if you're replacing an existing one, like you're replacing a GE or somebody else's. And then if you do that, click on it there, it kind of tells you that you're going to need this kit. And then it'll actually ask you whether you want makeup air or not. Now you guys are in Canada, right? So makeup air, and then is ERV required, energy recovery ventilator. Getting big, popular in Canada. Some places are requiring them. So if you require one, you'd have to make sure we don't have them in 265. They're only in 230, 208. But then you'd pick out what your tonnage was, and you'd make sure you had the right accessories to go with it. So there's a whole list of things you can click on to go through if you want to help figuring it out. If you can't figure it out, you can email Christian. He can send it to us, whatever. But we can go through all that and help you guys figure out what you need. So with that, I am finished as far as I can tell, unless you guys got more questions.